You guys don't even get it. I've worked with women who were in a marriage for like over 30 years and found out after decades of their marriage that their husbands had multiple side families with multiple kids. And that's just one example. I've worked with women who become infertile because their husbands have been cheating so much throughout the marriage and the women didn't know. The husbands were bringing home STDs. Do you know how many women are out there right now who can't leave their husbands because they're financially dependent on them? They're tolerating domestic violence. They're tolerating abuse every single day because they have no money to leave. They can't get divorced. I've worked with women who receive threats from their husbands in Eastern Europe saying, if you even dare to divorce me, you will never see your kids again. And in some countries in Eastern Europe, this is how it works. You can just bribe the officers in court, and the judge in court will say, well, the mother's an alcoholic. You shouldn't let her see her kids because her case in court was fabricated by her rich husband who bribed the officers. And trust me, that happens so much in Eastern Europe. I've worked with women like that as well. So ladies, please, your standards are never too high. If you ever hear from a man specifically, and also, can I just say, men giving us advice in the first place is already like shady. Who the fuck are you to give me advice as a man? You've never lived a day in my body. You don't know what it's like to be a woman in this world. Who the fuck are you telling me what I should and shouldn't do with my body? Well, we've already seen that in the US, guys, right? From a white dude that thinks he should be making decisions about what women should and shouldn't do with their bodies. Why is it always men deciding what women should and shouldn't do with their bodies? Fuck off. If a woman tells me that, I'll listen to that. Okay, I'll think about it. But why the fuck is a man telling me whether my standards are too high for men? What is this? Ladies, if you ever hear a man telling you that your standards for men are too high, give them the middle finger. I give you permission to give them the middle finger. Seriously. You don't even understand what I've seen with some of my client cases. You have no idea. And that happened because when those women were in their prime, in their early 20s, when they were at the sexiest, most beautiful stage in their life, when they were literally in their prime, when they were young, beautiful, when they had so much choice, when they had so much potential that they could have directed at their careers, at building financial wealth and security. Instead, they put all that trust into one man's hands. And look how that played out for them. So, my dear women, do not ever get married until you have a stable financial foundation. That is suicide, doing that to yourself. I'm saying that to you as a divorced woman. Do not ever put so much faith and trust into one man. That is how you lose in life. And do not ever let any man make financial decisions for you, any type of decisions, like what you should and shouldn't do to your body. Do not ever let men tell you to get abortions, by the way. I've had client cases like that as well. Women would come to me saying, well, my husband doesn't want another kid and he wants me to get an abortion. What should I do? And ladies, I'm only sharing all of this with you, not to complain about my difficult life as a psychologist and a coaching psychologist. I'm sharing all of that with you because I really want you to be picky. I want you to be fucking picky with all those men. Say no, be rude. Come off as an arrogant woman. That's still better than having your life ruined by men. Just because when you were in your prime, you were too nice to say no or to be selfish. Be fucking selfish. I want to raise a generation of women who are selfish. Who are not settling for less just because society put pressure on them to marry early. Ladies, the older you get, by the way, the less appealing marriage becomes to you. Because your fucking prefrontal cortex forms by the age of 25, speaking as a neuroscientist, by the way. And also I'm going to film a separate video where I'm literally going to put a fucking title saying, wait for 6 weeks before having sex with a man. Yes, guys, I love being controversial, but I'm not doing it to be controversial. I'm doing it because that's the only way to filter out narcissists, abusers, and all those psychopathic men that are approaching my clients. You have no idea what kind of client cases I've had to deal with. Do you know what all those women who've had their lives destroyed by all those men had in common? They were too fucking nice to those men. They weren't choosing. They weren't picky. They weren't being selfish because society told them you have to be nice and nurturing as a woman. You have to settle for less. Your standards are too high. This is what drives me nuts, ladies and gentlemen. When I hear men say this to young girls, your standards are too high. What, just because you want to date a guy that doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, and doesn't go out like a lustful loser? Was you looking after the kids at home? And I told this to my colleague today. Shut the fuck up, man. Don't ever tell me that. Don't you ever dare tell me that, first of all, as a man. Secondly, you are a father to a young girl. And you are telling me that. What example are you setting for your daughter? My future husband is definitely not going to be a dude that goes out for a pint every other day with his mates. My kids will never see that in their house. That person will not be their father. Ladies, you are choosing men who'll be raising your kids. And by the way, in case you die, that's possible, they'll be the ones raising your kids. So please, don't just decide based on how good your sex is with them or how attractive they are, how attractive their body is. Decide based on their morals, because they will literally raise your kids with their thinking process, with their values and their morals. Oh, also, do you know what my favorite is? When men say men have different biological needs from women. That screams he's going to cheat on you, by the way. That screams he's going to sleep around. That screams he's going to destroy your life. My dear women, I need to film so many videos on this, and I will be doing so. But please, if you're a woman in your early 20s, in your late teenage years, if you're watching my video right now, and if you've had men approach you and tell you, you have to be nice, you have to be gentle, you have to be kind, you have to be nurturing, your standards are too high, give them the middle finger, or send them the link to my fucking video and I'll do that for you. If I see them in real life, I'm going to give them a fucking dry slap, because I've had enough. I've seen so much, guys, and it's not about me, it's about all those women whose lives have been destroyed. And trust me, young ladies watching my channel right now, I do not want any of you to be in their spot. Can you imagine what it's like to find out that you've been married to someone for like 30 something years, that they've had multiple side families with bastard kids outside the marriage, and you were out there every single day making sacrifices? Oh yeah, my husband's at work, he must be tired, he's gonna come home tonight, I have to cook him dinner. Yeah, I work full time as well, but he's my husband. I love him so much. He's my light. He's my star. And I'm going to be loyal to him. And yes, men approach me and I tell them no, because I love my husband, because I'm married. I have to be a good wife. I have to raise the kids. I have to make so many sacrifices. I'm going to sacrifice my career. I'm going to sacrifice my kids. I'm going to go get an abortion. Because my husband told me so, because I'm meant to do what my husband tells me to do, because that's the way I was raised. I was raised to be the nice girl. Don't be the nice girl. Be the f***ing selfish girl, ladies. Think about your needs. Think about your priorities. Think about your career. Build your career first before getting married. Build a financial foundation. You have to be financially secure. Do you know, if you enter relationships expecting men to look after you, you're acting like an infant. You're acting like a child. Who expects that their needs will be taken care of? A child. So if you're entering a relationship from that infantile position and perspective, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you're putting all the decision making into your husband's hands, that's the quickest way to have your life destroyed. It's women who dictate relationships, because women dictate how they allow themselves to be treated. They signal to men how they allow to be treated. They communicate with men through verbal and non-verbal signals how they allow to be treated. They communicate their standards in these ways. So stop being the nice girl, please. Stop it. Fucking stop it. Ladies, I'm recording this video because I've seen so much with my client cases. And I really don't want any of you to end up in their place. I do not want to be saying this anymore. This is why I tell everyone, I really hope you never have to use my services. To all my friends and family, whenever people ask me at conferences and networking events, or what do you do, what kind of services do you provide, the first thing I say is, I hope you never have to use my services. So be careful with who you let into your social circle. Because if you sleep around, if you date all these random dudes, if you allow them into your space, all that life creating energy that you could have directed into building a business, into your career, into earning money, for your security, by the way, for the security of your kids. Because please don't just rely on men. Don't just expect men to provide for you. That man provides for you today, tomorrow he's gone. And so what? Where are your skills? Where is your career? Where have you invested your time? Into pleasing some dude that, okay, likes you today, but tomorrow he's going to fall in love with someone else? It's very unstable with all these men. So if you think that just because they're taking care of you today, they'll be doing that for life, you're very wrong. You're setting yourself up for failure. Dear women, do not just allow all those random douches into your space. Filter them out. Have high standards. Really filter them out. Because once again, if you start thinking about a guy that you're apparently dating that absolutely takes no responsibility for you, doesn't improve your life in any way, doesn't add to your life or your security in any way, you are actually losing more than gaining something. You are losing your energy. You're literally flushing it down the toilet. Okay, he starts taking up all that space in your mind. How about your career? Your career and your investments should be taking up all that space in your mind. Not whether this guy is texting you or why he's taking 2 hours instead of 2 minutes to text you back, or why he's been acting super cold instead of inviting you on a stupid ass date. And also listen to your intuition. If it seems to you that he's seeing someone else, it's probably because he is seeing someone else. The percentage of men who can truly stay loyal to a woman is ridiculously small. And just a gentle reminder, I always preach about this, ladies, your career is never going to wake up on a random Thursday morning saying, honey, I don't love you anymore. No way. And your investments and your assets, or the properties that you earn, or the money in your Schroders portfolio, in your investments, will never just wake you up on a Thursday morning like, hey, darling, well, I've got another side family with multiple kids on the side. Wakey, wakey. Good fucking morning. And now you have to figure shit out yourself because I've got a new wife. And I'm not going to do anything for you. I'm not going to help you in any way. And there you go. And you've invested like 70% of your lifetime into that man, hoping that he would stay there for you for life, help you financially, be there with you. And you've been the good girl. You've been loyal. You've sacrificed your career. Is this what you really want? Just because when you were in your early 20s, you met him and the sex was good and he was physically attractive. And then, life happened and you became pregnant. And then he proposed to you because, you kind of have to propose when you make a girl pregnant. Or if it's worse, he made you get rid of the kid. Or maybe he blocked you and disappeared and you had to go get an abortion because you couldn't afford having a child financially. And then you became infertile. I've dealt with cases like that as well. And ladies, you don't even understand the type of regret those women have. They've literally told me, Lina, please share this. Please share our fucking stories. Because we don't want young girls to end up with this. We don't want them to have their lives destroyed. They've literally told me, please use my case. Please share it. And it's too late for me. I can't have kids anymore. I'm infertile for life. They would literally tell me that. And can you imagine what it's like for me to be saying all of that? To realize that I can't help them in any way. Because this is biological. This is something that I have no power over. And, that is some next level of grief and trauma. So ladies, once again, my purpose on this channel is to teach you how to spot liars, narcissists, abusers, psychopaths. And I'm literally going to film a separate video saying why you absolutely have to wait for 6 weeks before you have sex with a man. So when you're in that dating phase with a guy, dating in the first place anyway, what is dating? When you're seeing someone, right? When you're seeing someone, I'm going to teach you the most trustworthy method to filter out all the douchebags. Number 1, wait for 6 weeks before you have sex with them. Actually, wait for 6 weeks before you even let them kiss you and see how they react. All the douchebags will start getting super angry. They won't tolerate that. They will never wait for 6 weeks. They'll start putting pressure on you. And once you experience that pressure, that's a red flag. Because when a man puts pressure on you to have sex with him, that's abuse. That's a red flag. That screams narcissist. That screams abuser. That screams toxic men. And those are exactly the types of men that destroyed my clients' lives. So please, if you want to have your life destroyed, go ahead, ladies, sleep around. This is exactly why I fucking despise hookup culture, because it literally tells women that they shouldn't have boundaries. When you don't have boundaries, you don't protect yourself. You literally let any random fucking dude into your space. And a lot of those dudes will be abusers and toxic men. This is also why I hate dating apps, because do you know why certain men can't get girls in real life? Do you know why? Because they're abusers and toxic men. And there's so many of those predators on online spaces nowadays. But that's a separate topic for a separate video. So why do we stay single? Because in 2026, we don't need a man. Because we've absorbed intergenerational trauma. We don't want to live like this. And for some reason, men haven't caught up with us. A lot of male egos can't accept that. A woman can also earn money. A woman can also have a career. A lot of them start putting pressure on women. A lot of them don't feel happy when they find out that their girlfriend earns more than they do. They don't like it. It destroys their fragile male ego. Oh my god. It breaks their fragile male egos when they find out that their girlfriends earn more than they do. They can't tolerate it. That's why they go for gentle, naive, nurturing girls, as they like to call it. Actually, it's just gullible girls who haven't learned and understood, who we as more experienced women have understood. Speaking as a divorced woman once again, speaking as a woman who's worked with traumatized women, who works in crisis counseling essentially. So they specifically search for naive girls, which I believe is predatory behavior, but that's a separate conversation for another video once again. So instead of going for women who are very smart, who are driven, who are financially secure, they go for naive girls, very often from broken families, very often with a missing father figure, very often with some form of trauma. So they go for them, they manipulate them because it's very easy to manipulate them. Because they don't put up the shield like this. They don't filter them out. They say yes to everything. They don't make those men wait for even a week most of the time to have sex with them. They let them do what they want with them for many reasons. Because very often, subconsciously, they believe that having boundaries and saying no means being rude to men. A lot of us have been told since childhood that we're supposed to be nice, we're supposed to be nurturing. We are the peacekeepers of the family, supposedly. We never asked for these roles. We never wanted these roles. So apparently saying no and creating some noise is considered to be unwanted from the woman's side. Once again, those standards, guys. God, I never really labeled myself as a radical feminist, but a lot of the thoughts that I'm sharing are kind of radical, apparently. Anyways, this video is probably too long. So, also, I'd just like to say, having relationships, investing time, energy, and resources into relationship is a huge risk. A huge risk. Because even just going on these dates, like, that's 2-3 hours every single time. And you could have literally invested that into building a business or networking or earning money instead of wasting time on some random dude who doesn't provide any guarantees for you. Okay, well, maybe it's going to be good sex and he's going to look attractive. But once you get to know him, the whole story unfolds. So ladies, please be super careful. If you have any questions, if you're stuck in a confusing relationship, if you need help with relationship decision clarity and decision paralysis, you have my email. You're always welcome to book a one-to-one consultation with me. With regards to my coaching services, the first consultation is always free. Me answering any questions on email is always free. Please also feel free to submit your case study on my website. But this was just a message. But once again, ladies, if a man ever tells you that men have different biological needs compared to women, that screams he's going to cheat on you. He's not going to be loyal. And I've also seen a lot myself. Been in networking events where I've been approached by married men who had pregnant wives with them at those networking events. And I would then just be absolutely speechless. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Honestly, I've seen a lot in my life. I've seen the worst of humanity. That's why I talk a lot about this on my channel, because I feel like in the info space, there's not a lot of videos like this where anyone speaks to young girls in their 20s especially, or in their teenage years. There's a lot of pressure for some reason from white dudes, especially in the US, telling women what to do with their bodies, telling them whether they should or shouldn't get abortions. But there's not enough talk about how women should protect themselves from narcissists and abusers. And you shouldn't just be turning on the protection when it gets too late. You should always be on guard. You shouldn't just be letting random people into your space just because you're supposed to be nice. That. Whoever instilled those beliefs into your mind, into your system, get rid of those beliefs. The earlier you get rid of those beliefs, the earlier you will achieve liberation. And trust me, it's so liberating to get rid of those beliefs. So, my dear women, it's okay to be single. It's absolutely fine. And it's absolutely acceptable to be rude to men, to say no to men when you don't like what they're saying. I went absolutely ape my colleague today and he didn't like it. But I said, look, if you ever tell your daughter any of this bullshit that you've told me today over lunch, I'm actually going to give you a dry slap. And I'm literally going to use my fist. I'm sorry, but young women, we are going to have a lot of conversations on this channel. I'm going to raise a lot of topics on this channel. And I don't give a fuck how much hate I receive from men. I'm tired of hearing this. I'm going to raise a whole generation of women who will stand up for themselves, who will be able to x-ray all the narcissists, all the psychopaths, all the abusers, all the toxic men, who will know what the red flags are, who will know how to spot the abusive behavior, who will know when they should be running away from these abusers. And I don't want any more women to end up in miserable marriages where their husbands are cheating on them, having multiple side families, because all of that could have been prevented if those women knew how to spot these things, if they knew how to listen to their intuition, if they knew how to follow a lot of those signs, if they knew what the red flags are. I don't want any more women to be traumatized in abusive marriages. I don't want any more kids to be absorbing all this intergenerational trauma. It's better to be single than settle for less, be married to some fucking loser that doesn't align with your values, that doesn't raise your kids with your values, that makes your kids miserable, that normalizes social drinking. Since when has drinking become social? Fuck that. That normalizes taking drugs and sets an example of that for your kids. It's better to be single, ladies. It's better to be single. It's really not that bad. It's really not that bad. I really don't want any more women to be getting abortions when they don't want to get abortions. Women should only be getting abortions when it's their choice, not because of the pressure that men in their marriage put on them. That's actually disgusting. That's vile. I really don't want any more women to come to me saying, my life has been destroyed, Lina. I don't know what to do and how to live with this. I really don't want to be taking on any more clients with severe depression that was caused by their f***ing husbands that couldn't keep their dick in their pants. I'm sorry, ladies. I'm swearing, but I have the right to do so. I've worked with so many women and I've seen enough in my life. And ladies, if I ever see your husband approaching me at a fucking networking event or a charity event when you're pregnant, and when I go and tell you that your husband has approached me and tried to flirt with me, tried to ask me out, and took off his fucking ring, and when I approach you, I want you to believe me, okay? And women who also, for some reason, start getting super defensive and start denying the facts, they're also at fault. If you're a woman who's been warned about your husband's behavior and if you didn't listen, it's your fucking fault. Your fault. Anyways, I'm just a spokesperson for all the single women who are done with settling for less. And I don't give a fuck if our standards are too fucking high. Men have always discussed and spoke about women's appearance when they got a chance. Men have always made comments, catcalling comments about women when they had a chance. So women are allowed to pick men based on their financial, social, educational, and so many more standards. Women are allowed to have rules and standards. And I'm going to raise a generation of young women with super high standards that will never settle for less. So men, they keep telling us that our standards are too high. I announce fucking wartime for you all. It's wartime, bitch. Military parade, ding ding. This is the first video in the series. I am going to raise a generation of women with high standards that will stand up for themselves, that will protect themselves, that will break the intergenerational curses, that their mothers and grandmothers carried. And I will teach women how to spot abusers, narcissists, selfish pricks, toxic men, and all the douchebags that want to destroy their lives because their egos are too fucking big, even though they're fucking fragile. And I'm gonna destroy those male egos. So it's wartime, motherfucker. Farewell! See you in the next video!